Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The greatest power is not in controlling others, but in showing them that they have no control over you. In a world where many men bend to the whims of a woman's ego, the Sigma male stands as a rare exception, unmoved, untamed, and unapologetically independent. His methods are subtle yet devastating, leaving no room for games, manipulation, or ego-stroking. While the average guy might cater to her need for validation, a Sigma dismantles it without ever breaking a sweat. Here's the fact. Studies show that the biggest bruises to the ego don't come from harsh words or overt conflict, but from indifference, from making someone realize they don't matter as much as they thought. The Sigma male embodies this reality to perfection, mastering the art of destroying a woman's ego not through confrontation, but through his unwavering detachment, intellect, and refusal to be controlled. What follows are the brutal ways a Sigma male completely dismantles a woman's inflated sense of self. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect. Number 1. Swift exit strategy. When a Sigma male decides to walk away, it's never a messy breakup filled with shouting, slammed doors, or endless text exchanges. It's a clean, surgical move, quick, precise, and final. The beauty, or rather the brutality of his exit, is in its speed and simplicity. One moment, things seem normal, and the next, he's gone, leaving her to figure out why. There's no closure, no drawn-out explanations, just a deafening silence that echoes louder than any argument ever could. What makes this so powerful is how it blindsides her. She may have assumed she had control, believing she could string him along or that he'd always be there waiting. But when the Sigma male leaves, he leaves for good, without any warning. There's no negotiation, no room for bargaining. He's already made his decision, and he's moved on mentally long before she even realizes what's happening. That emotional detachment hits harder than any insult ever could because it reveals one harsh truth. She never had the power she thought she did. His ability to exit swiftly and without looking back puts her in a position of powerlessness. Suddenly, she's left analyzing every moment, every word, trying to figure out what went wrong. But that's the point. He doesn't give her that satisfaction. It's not about punishing her, but about showing her that his world doesn't revolve around her. His life is his own, and the second he feels like she's disrupting it or trying to manipulate him, he's out. The abruptness of his departure makes her realize she was never as important as her ego led her to believe, and that's a wound that stings far longer than any argument ever would. At number 2, refusing to be impressed by her beauty. A Sigma male isn't swayed by physical beauty the way most men are, and this is something that can shatter a woman's ego in an instant. Society often teaches women that their appearance is their strongest asset, and many are used to getting attention, admiration, or even special treatment because of it. But when they encounter a Sigma male, they quickly realize that their beauty alone doesn't move him. He sees beyond the surface, and this lack of fascination is disorienting for a woman who's accustomed to using her looks to influence or control men. While other men might shower her with compliments or go out of their way to impress her just because she's attractive, the Sigma male remains completely unfazed. It's not that he's blind to her beauty, it's that he simply doesn't care enough to be impressed by it. He values depth, intelligence, and character far more than physical appearance. For a woman who has relied on her looks to get her way, this is a harsh wake-up call. His indifference forces her to confront the reality that her beauty isn't enough to hold his attention or gain his respect. This is where her ego takes a serious hit. She's not used to being overlooked or treated like any other person. The fact that the Sigma male refuses to pedestalize her or make a big deal out of her appearance leaves her feeling powerless in a situation where she's used to having the upper hand. His standards go beyond the superficial, and she quickly realizes that her looks won't earn her a place in his life. For the Sigma male, beauty is fleeting, and he's more interested in qualities that last. His refusal to be captivated by her appearance sends a clear message. She'll need more than a pretty face to win his respect or his attention. Number 3, thriving in independence, killing her need to feel needed. One of the most powerful ways a Sigma male destroys a woman's ego is by showing her that he doesn't need her or anyone for validation or support. While most men might lean into a relationship, looking for emotional or even practical dependency, a Sigma male thrives in his independence. His self-sufficiency is a direct blow to her ego, especially if she's used to being the one men rely on for comfort, motivation, or even purpose. She might be expecting him to seek her approval, her attention, or her nurturing instincts. But when she realizes that he's perfectly fine on his own, it throws her off balance. There's a natural power dynamic in relationships where one person typically seeks to be needed, and she might expect that from him. However, when the Sigma male doesn't fit into that mold, it leaves her without the usual leverage she might have had. The traditional role she expected to play in his life is non-existent, and this undermines the control she thought she could wield. What makes it worse for her is watching him excel in everything without her involvement. He doesn't require her affirmation to feel successful or her emotional support to stay grounded. His drive is internal, his success is self-powered, and his stability comes from within. This leaves her in an uncomfortable position of realizing that she's not essential to his life in any meaningful way. And that is a huge hit to the ego, knowing that no matter how much effort she puts in, he will continue to rise without leaning on her. For someone who's used to being needed, watching a man flourish independently is both confusing and crushing. It's a constant reminder that her presence doesn't define him, and that's a hard truth for her ego to swallow. At number 4, weaponizing silence as a power move. Silence is a weapon that most people underestimate, but a Sigma male wields it with precision. When he decides to go silent, it's not out of passiveness, or because he doesn't have anything to say. It's a calculated move. By choosing not to respond, he creates a void that speaks louder than words ever could. This isn't just ignoring someone, it's showing them that their words and actions aren't even worth a reaction. For a woman who thrives on attention and engagement, this kind of silence can be deeply unsettling. She might try to provoke him with emotional outbursts, snarky comments, or manipulative tactics, expecting him to bite. But when she's met with nothing but silence, it forces her to confront her own insecurities. She's left alone with her thoughts, and in that space, her ego starts to unravel. She's used to getting some kind of reaction, whether it's anger, frustration, or even acknowledgement. But the Sigma male's refusal to engage shows her that she holds no power over him. What makes this silence even more impactful is that it's not cold or dismissive. It's purposeful. He's not giving her the satisfaction of a response because he doesn't see her games as worth his time or energy. His silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a statement that her behavior is beneath him. This leaves her second-guessing everything, from her approach to her importance in his life. It's a power move that strips her of control without him having to lift a finger. By weaponizing silence, the Sigma male flips the dynamic entirely. He's no longer the one being pursued for a reaction, she's the one chasing, trying to get him to say something, anything, and that chase only leads to more frustration, making her ego crumble under the weight of his indifference. Number 5, unapologetically prioritizing his ambition over her ego. A Sigma male doesn't apologize for putting his ambition first, and that alone can shake a woman's ego to the core. While many men might prioritize a relationship or bend to a woman's desires, a Sigma male has a different focus. His goals. He is relentlessly driven, and nothing comes before what he set out to accomplish. Not even her. This can be a brutal reality check for a woman who's used to being the center of attention or the main priority in a man's life. When she realizes that she's not his top priority, it can feel like a direct attack on her ego. She might expect him to rearrange his life for her, to put her needs above his own ambitions, but the Sigma male doesn't play that game. He's clear about where his priorities lie, and if she's not on board with it, he'll keep moving forward without hesitation. This unwavering commitment to his path leaves little room for negotiation, and that can make her feel sidelined, even insignificant. What makes this even more jarring for her is how unapologetic he is about it. He's not rude or dismissive, but he's firm in his stance. His ambition drives him, and he's not going to let anything or anyone derail him from reaching his goals. For a woman who's used to being idolized or catered to, this is a sharp contrast. She's not used to a man who's perfectly fine putting her second or third on his list. This kind of determination and focus isn't something she can easily compete with, and deep down, it makes her question her place in his life. He doesn't need to feed her ego or make her feel special at the expense of his own progress, and that alone can feel like a major blow to someone who's used to being the priority. Number 6. Being emotionally unavailable, rendering her irrelevant. A Sigma male's emotional unavailability is like an invisible wall that leaves a woman feeling utterly powerless. He doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, and he's certainly not the type to engage in emotional games. For a woman who thrives on emotional engagement or manipulation, this is a nightmare scenario. She can try to pull on his heartstrings, create drama, or evoke sympathy, but it all falls flat because he simply doesn't respond in the way she expects. The Sigma male is often seen as distant or detached, and that's intentional. He guards his emotions carefully and only shares them with those he truly trusts, which is rare. This creates an unspoken challenge for a woman who's used to being able to control or sway men through emotional tactics. With the Sigma male, she quickly realizes that her usual tricks won't work. She can't make him feel guilty, she can't make him jealous, and she certainly can't make him prioritize her emotional needs over his own sense of peace. For her, this emotional unavailability translates to irrelevance. She's left questioning her importance in his life because he doesn't react to her in the way other men might. His lack of emotional engagement sends a clear message. He won't be manipulated, he won't be dragged into her emotional turbulence, and he's not going to lose himself in a relationship. This can be incredibly frustrating for her, especially if she's used to men being emotionally reactive or easily influenced by her moods. What's most crushing for her ego is the realization that she doesn't hold the emotional power she thought she had. The Sigma male's emotional detachment is his way of keeping control, and it forces her to come to terms with the fact that she can't manipulate or destabilize him. He's simply out of reach. Number 7. Intellectual dismantling. When it comes to intellectual battles, a Sigma male doesn't hold back, and that's where a woman's ego can take a serious beating. He's sharp, analytical, and often sees through layers of conversation that most people miss. For a woman who's used to winning arguments with charm, emotional persuasion, or half-baked logic, going up against a Sigma male feels like stepping into a completely different arena. He's not interested in surface-level debates or getting pulled into petty back-and-forths. Instead, he dissects every point with precision, challenging her to bring more than just feelings to the table. What's even more unsettling is that he doesn't engage in these intellectual exchanges for the sake of winning. He does it to get to the truth. And in doing so, he exposes any inconsistencies or flaws in her reasoning, often without her even realizing it until it's too late. His ability to think critically and logically can be intimidating, especially when she's not used to being challenged in this way. She might try to steer the conversation into emotional territory, but he keeps pulling it back to logic and facts, leaving her grasping for control. This intellectual dismantling isn't about humiliation, but it feels personal when her arguments fall apart under his scrutiny. Her ego takes a hit because she's not used to being outmatched in this way. What she thought would be a simple conversation turns into a situation where she's forced to confront the limits of her own thinking. And the worst part, he's not arrogant about it. He doesn't gloat or rub it in. He simply moves on, leaving her to deal with the realization that she wasn't as clever or persuasive as she thought. For a woman who prides herself on her intellect or ability to manipulate conversations, facing a Sigma male's mental sharpness is a humbling experience. He's not easily fooled, and that makes it hard for her to feel in control, further crushing her ego. Number 8. Rejecting her praise as manipulative tactics. A Sigma male has a remarkable ability to reject manipulative tactics, and this is particularly evident when a woman tries to use praise as a way to get what she wants. While many men might find themselves flattered or even manipulated by sweet words and compliments, a Sigma male stands apart. He views such flattery with skepticism, understanding that it often comes with strings attached. For a woman who is accustomed to leveraging praise to sway others, this indifference can be downright disarming. When she throws compliments his way, hoping to soften him up or steer him in a certain direction, he simply nods and moves on. There's no blush of appreciation or dreamy smile that she might be used to receiving from others. Instead, his calm demeanor exposes the hollowness of her words, making it clear that he won't be swayed by superficial gestures. This unwavering stance sends a shockwave through her, as she realizes her usual strategy is ineffective against him. What's more, when he calls out her flattery as a tactic, it forces her to confront the fact that her methods are transparent. Rather than feeling empowered by her compliments, she finds herself feeling vulnerable, even foolish, for thinking they would work. The Sigma male's ability to remain unaffected by her attempts at manipulation creates an atmosphere of authenticity that she's not prepared for. The realization that he won't be impressed by her praise and that he sees through her intentions can be a painful awakening. It not only deflates her ego, but also compels her to reassess her own worth. If she can't charm or manipulate him, then what does that say about her? In the end, the Sigma male's rejection of her praise isn't just about him. It's a mirror reflecting her own insecurities and the limits of her usual tactics, leaving her feeling exposed and uncertain. In a world where many men can be swayed by charm, beauty, or emotional manipulation, the Sigma male stands as a formidable force, challenging the status quo and redefining the dynamics of attraction. His unique blend of independence, intellectual prowess, and emotional detachment serves not only as a shield for his own ego, but also as a catalyst for revealing the vulnerabilities of those around him. For women who have relied on traditional methods of influence, encountering a Sigma male can be both enlightening and humbling. The ways in which he dismantles ego, through his swift exit strategy, refusal to engage in pettiness, and unwavering commitment to his own ambitions, are not merely tactics but reflections of a deeper understanding of self-worth and authenticity. When faced with his indifference to flattery and his sharp intellect, women often find themselves questioning their own strategies and motivations. This brutal honesty exposes a truth that can be difficult to accept. Their power is not absolute, and real connection requires more than just surface-level appeal. Ultimately, the Sigma male challenges women to dig deeper, urging them to cultivate genuine qualities beyond manipulation. His presence serves as a reminder that true value lies in authenticity, intelligence, and emotional resilience. As the curtain falls on this exploration of how a Sigma male navigates relationships, one undeniable truth remains. In a game where ego often reigns, the Sigma male plays by his own rules, reshaping the narrative and leaving a lasting impression on everyone he encounters. If you enjoyed this exploration of Sigma males and their intriguing dynamics, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Join our community for more insightful discussions that challenge conventional wisdom. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for your next revelation. It's just a click away.